welcome to Cine Chat. We're a film review show that talks about future movies that are about to come out, present movies that just came out, and gives you an old goodie from the past. I'm your host, Spencer Selliver, and along with...
I'm Arnold Kumar.
And we're going to start off talking about World War Z that was just announced not too long ago. So what are your thoughts on this?
I thought the trailer is actually pretty excellent. I don't really get hyped up about movies from trailers. But this one did a good job of setting up some tension and mystery to it. It was had action and has like a slight heart in it in the trailer, so you kind of know what you're gonna expect.
Definitely, yeah. And I thought the special effects were top notch. Of course, the zombies running over the bus in the trailer, and when they're running through the alleyway there, and they're all crawling over each other or up the building. I thought it was really cool. Definitely a different take on the zombie genre.
Of course, after
seeing somebody like dragging their feet and all that, it gets boring and dull. And this one definitely looks like a new take on it. It looks really good.
Sure, and it's from a pretty well-known director, Mark Forster, who's directed hits like Monsters Ball and Finding Neverland and Quantum of Solace.
Right.
So he knows how to direct his actors very well. He did help Halle Berry win her first Oscar. Maybe this is Brad Pitt's turn.
Hopefully, yes.
Yeah.
he's done a lot of good movies, but unfortunately hasn't gotten one yet.
He just hasn't got the claim yet.
We also have Despicable 2 it's going to come up here pretty soon. Despicable Me 1, I did love. I have to say, I love the Minions running around. It's definitely the best part of the whole movie. And just, of course, they use it in the trailer all the time. It's probably the highlight for everybody.
Yes.
What did you think about it?
It was a surprise hit when it came out in 2010. Nobody expected it to be a big hit like it was. In my opinion, it was a decent movie. It did have a few laughs. A good story between the daughters and Gru. My opinion is it's probably going to be more of the same. Nothing too new. There's probably going to be overselling the Minions again.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and then Iron Man 3, of course, will be next on the list. Iron Man 3, it definitely looks like from the trailer that it's going to be much more of an in-depth to the Tony Stark character and let you kind of feel the weight on his shoulders while the Mandark, is that his name? Or
I believe it's the Mandoran, played by
Mandark from Dexter. Okay, my bad. Okay, scratch that. The Mandarin, my bad. I'm not a comic book fan. I'm sorry. I do love movies, but not comic books. But definitely, his character development, I think, will definitely come through in this one. A much more dark and heavy film, it seems like.
Yes, much more different than the Jon Favreau ones. It does have a heavier tone. And it looks like a much personal story. What's his name? For Iron Man. No.
Oh, the actor or the director? The actor.
Character.
The Tony Stark.
Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. For Tony Stark, at the very end where he's dragging his suit of armor, it's like him trying to
like carrying the weight on his shoulders. Yeah.
Burden that he has with this.
Exactly. Very metaphorical there at the end of the trailer. Yeah. And I seem like it didn't quite fit the trailer, but at the same time, it really gives you a feeling of what the movie's going to be like.
A lot more personal.
Lincoln came out, had a brief showing. I think it was in 11 theaters in California last week. But I haven't had a chance to see it because it hasn't come to my town yet. Lincoln definitely looks like a great movie. Daniel Day-Lewis is one of my favorite actors. He did a great job in There Will Be Blood. He is a great, just a great drama actor, I guess you would say. He's, along with, there's of course a lot of huge names in there. Sally Fields, of course, and then Joseph Gordon-Levitt. There's a lot of big names. The score is by John Williams, so of course it's gonna have great music.
Great soundtrack. I mean, as you've seen in Jaws and Schindler's List, which was a biopic as well, which had an amazing score throughout the film.
And no surprise, of course, the director is Steven Spielberg, because John Williams, Steven Spielberg like spaghetti and meatballs. I mean, seriously. And so altogether, it's like an all-star cast for a movie. It's of course gonna be amazing.
Yes, it has a lot of star power, a lot of hype behind it, and it should be a really good movie. Early reviews suggest it is.
Yes,
a front runner for the Oscars as well.
Yes, of course, obviously. And then Skyfall, of course. I did have a chance to watch that one because it did come to my theaters. Skyfall, I think, was a nice, modern James Bond. It didn't focus on the gadgets or the women like the old James Bond did, and it didn't have as many corny or cheesy lines. It was just altogether a great action flick, great story. The villain, I absolutely love Javier Bardem. He is one of my favorites, and there's No Country for Old Men. He was so creepy, and so he made that hairstyle creepy too, and that hairstyle was terrible.
Yeah.
But he was just, his chaotic evil impersonation, just in his embodiment of it, the character's great. I loved him in that movie.
My opinion on Skyfall, I haven't seen any other James Bond movies aside from Casino Royale, so I'm not a big Bond fan. I'm coming to this movie as a moviegoer. So I thought it was well acted. The action sequences are pretty fantastic. The cinematography is good. I really like the soundtrack. I thought it had that new, that feeling of Bond, but at the same time, there was a new
definitely
newness to it.
Well, modernize is what they're really trying to go for here.
Yeah.
And I think they hit it right, the nail on the head.
And I totally loved Adele's song for the movie, Skyfall, which is pretty fantastic, in my opinion. My only problems with the movie, it does drag along. It is a really long movie, so it does drag a little bit. I know you can't really make it shorter, but they could have made the scenes a little bit more interesting or something.
Right. I did feel it wasn't too bad as far as the dragging along goes. That's just my own personal opinion. It was a long movie, though, so if you're getting a little antsy, then that's probably why.
Yeah, I saw my attention drifting away.
But especially if you're a James Bond fan, I know you said you weren't, but I am actually. I've seen basically all the James Bonds growing up, and it's kind of cool how it leads up to the original James Bond. How these are all like pretty much prequels to him joining it up. Yeah, so now you know cool. They all kind of lead up to it, and then they introduce, of course, characters in the old ones. I'm not gonna give anyone any spoilers here.
No spoilers here. Exactly. And some of the character motivations were kind of iffy. I didn't know what Javier Bardem's character's motivations were for. I know he was betrayed, but
right, and that seems to be a running theme in modern movies. They seem to think that not explaining things is a good enough explanation, and they kind of just let the viewer kind of make their own assumption of what happened.
Of course,
and it's kind of going towards this whole the audience is smart enough they can figure it out thing. Yeah. But at the same time, it feels like they're not trying to set up a backstory.
However, one thing that I did really like how the movie is a story about old versus new kind of thing. So they're trying to
kind of trying to incorporate both at the same time.
Yeah, so embrace the new, but don't forget about the old ways, because sometimes they're the better technique.
Yeah, and overall, of course, the box office shows is a great movie. Biggest Bond movie ever. 88.4 million, I believe it was, over the weekend.
So fantastic.
All around
numbers.
the world, hundreds of millions of dollars it made. Definitely a good. Definitely, if you haven't seen it, go see it. If you're not a James Bond fan, you'll still love it. If you are an old James Bond fan, you'll love it.
Yeah, and even if you're not a James Bond fan like me, you'll like it at least.
Next on the list, Wreck-It Ralph. I saw that as well.
Yeah.
I'm not much of a kids movie fan, but this movie was, I think, great for all ages. Especially, I do like video games, and I was a video game fanatic back in the day, and it'll bring back some oldies that you'll recognize, of course.
Of course, I'm a huge fan of animation, especially Disney, Pixar, and all them. They make some gorgeous movies, some movies that are more not only for kids but adults and everyone. I really liked the animation, which is pretty gorgeous. How they
incorporated the 8-bits into like the jerky motions
with the newer style of animation with HD graphics and explosions and all that stuff.
Right. I think they did a great job of incorporating all the different video game styles into one.
Of course, yeah. Great seeing the cameos from classic video game characters like Bowser and Zangief from Street Fighter or something like that.
Right, of course. If you're looking for those, it's kind of fun to kind of look for them during the movie and catch them.
Yeah, I've heard that there's over 180 characters in this movie.
And I think I even spotted Skrillex, unfortunately, in there at some point. But I don't know. I know he has nothing to do with video games, but of course, whatever. It's a nice little cameo by him, I guess, because he did some of the music for it.
Yes, he did some of the soundtrack. Well-defined characters. I really like the characters. Ralph and Vanellope's relationship is pretty good.
It's definitely a tearjerker.
Tearjerker towards the end, yeah.
With a couple nice lines in there.
Yeah. I thought it was really well written too. The jokes are mostly hits. They're funny,
they're not trying too hard. That's what comes off really well in the movie. Is they're not trying too hard. It just plays out.
Yeah, it's naturally. Natural. The characters are playing off of each other, so that's always good.
Exactly. Which brings us to our next segment, the oldie but goodie. I would say if you like Seven Psychopaths, which just came out not too long ago, that you would definitely love his other movie he directed, which is In Bruges. Now, In Bruges it's been out for a couple of years now. It was definitely, if you liked his style of humor, which is a little bit, I wouldn't say maybe dark humor, I guess, but it's definitely different. It has a lot of cursing in the movie, so if you're watching it with kids and whatnot, you might want to not watch it with kids and whatnot. But besides that, it's definitely a great movie. If you like his style and like Seven Psychopaths, it's definitely one you might want to see that most people don't know about.
Okay, I haven't seen it personally, but I'll have to take a look at it.
Absolutely. That's about it.
Well, that sounds about it. I guess we might be seeing Lincoln over the weekend and
Flight as well.
Yeah, just movies that came out that have a lot of Oscar buzz behind it.
Definitely stuff to look forward to in the next episode from next week.
Of course, yeah. And thanks for joining us, guys. Hopefully we'll see you next week. Have a good day.